This episode of Important If True is brought to you by Quip. Very nice, convenient electric toothbrushes mailed to your home with brush head refills on a regular schedule. If you go to tryquip.com/thumbs, you will get $10 off your first brush head refill. That's tryquip.com/thumbs. Boo-doo, boo-doo.
What? No.
Oh.
That was an invalid dot test.
What about a normal dot test?
Yeah, that's fine.
Are my dots looking normal?
I think so. They look like good old-fashioned dots to me.
Classic dots?
Red-blooded dots.
Dots. So this episode is brought to you by Dots. By Dotson. By Dodgson.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares. This episode is brought to you by Dodgson. Nobody cares. It's May 25th, 2017.
And this is Important If True.
From Idle Thumbs, I am Chris Remo.
I'm Nick Brecken.
I'm Jake Rodkin.
Hey, guys.
Hello.
Hi.
Do you guys ever feel like a cartoon character who likes coffee a lot? I have started really intensely this week. My brain has gotten into this mode where I will have a cup of coffee, which I'm currently doing, and then I'll be like, man, coffee is so good. And then I'll start to actually, I feel like the way in which I enjoy coffee is so stupid and banal. I feel like I am like Kathy from the comic strip Kathy, or like the boss from Office Space, or like fucking Garfield or something. Like, I don't know how to process my reactions to it, because it is the lamest way to enjoy something. It makes me realize that that's where that whole type of characterization in low-hanging fruit comic strips and stuff like that
Comes from being a boring adult.
Yeah, it comes from being a boring adult, where in a particularly in an age before the internet exists. So
before you could get totally just
jumped on
just
for
mocked
having
for that
such
being
a
your
banal
character trait.
Observation. Yeah, exactly. It's very concerning to me.
You're just Agent Cooper.
You wish. You do not experience coffee at a Twin Peaks level. No, yeah. The way that you get around that as a cool person is to start liking really nice coffee and talk about the intricacies of coffee.
That's so much worse.
As if it's really,
I would
as
so
if
much
it's wine,
rather,
Chris.
I would so much rather be Garfield or Kathy than that fucking guy, I think.
Then endorsed Equator Coffee on this very show.
No!
Oh, shit.
Oh, no.
No, it's true.
Oh, no. Instead, I'm just drinking
both you
coffee
guys.
out of a Larry David mug.
I'm sorry to hear that you're Garfield and or, as you said, fucking Garfield. But, you know.
I mean, I wouldn't say that I'm fucking Garfield.
But you'd say you're fucking
I'm
Garfield.
I'm fucking Garfield. Yeah.
That didn't sound I'd say
keep fucking that Garfield, Chris.
I don't know. I there is a weird existential issue in my brain about this, and I can't figure out how to verbalize the conflict
Hopefully
in my brain.
It's I'm not cool being said over and over and over again to yourself.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I think that's
not cool.
That's a solved issue. Yeah. And Nick has
down coffee.
Meanwhile, Nick has drinking out of a mug with the "It's Fine" dog. This is Fine Dog on it. So this is basically the least cool table.
Yeah,
that could be assembled.
I'm a panel in this 3-panel comic
garbage.
That is of shit.
Anyway, we hoisted ourselves last week.
I disagree, but continue.
All right. So
I'm fully on the side.
I think I can change your mind.
Okay, well let's get into our alleged hoisting.
Yeah. I am not going to read a specific email about this because we got so many emails and tweets about this, but the incredible poop story that I told last week after it was told to me by the hairdresser that Nick and I share, which was in turn told to her by Nick Brecken, as we learned after I completed the story. An incredible revelation. That is apparently a sort of infamous, I guess, pseudo-urban legend.
Yeah, it's known enough that it has a webpage on Snopes, which includes many of the narrative details of this story.
Going back to like 2007, right? It seems.
Yeah, and it's appeared now in entertainment in various places. It's been written into, it seems like, one or two known TV shows or sketch shows.
YouTube shows or something. Yeah.
It's been mentioned in some podcasts as original content.
Yeah, so this was, within, I would say, hours, minutes of the podcast being released, we began.
Someone went, it's that poo story, and then started hoisting us. By which I mean they started blowing us up with grenades.
Right.
So we know what hoisted means, everyone.
But we're going to address that as well.
Are we? Did I just pre-hoist?
Well, okay, so this is part of my evidence that I'm going to submit.
Oh, is this Nick Brecken against Snopes?
Yeah. Well, no. I'm not attacking the validity of
Nick v. Snopes.
of the story. I'm merely attempting
Important
to prove.
if true v. Snopes is that's a real thing.
No,
anyway.
I'm merely attempting to I have an issue with the term hoisted as it pertains to this case.
Wait a minute.
And I want you to read the what somebody sent in to us about.
You want to read the hoist on the subject of hoisting?
I mean, you can or I can,
Okay,
either way. But yeah, on the subject of hoisting.
All right, Nick is introducing Exhibit A on the subject of hoisting by Luke Willis, who writes, "Hey Thumbs, at some point while laughing too much about all the hoistings, I decided to look up exactly what a petard was, assuming it was a medieval article of clothing that lends itself particularly well to hoisting a dude. I was surprised to learn a petard is actually, quote, a small bomb used for blowing up gates and walls when breaching fortifications," end quote. When Shakespeare used hoist with his own petard as a metaphor, the visual image was someone being blown into the sky by an explosive they had planted themselves. Just thought you'd like to know that, in this sense, all hoistings involving one's own petard are actually self-hoistings, but it's also possible to be hoisted by another person's petard. Thanks for all the pods, Luke Willis.
I would say that the important if true definition of hoisted is basically just slightly hubristic or totally oblivious self-destruction, but maybe with a touch of believing that you know what's going on better than other people.
Thank you for proving my point for me, Jake.
You are okay. First, let me just say, textbook pre-hoisting is happening in front of our eyes by Nick Brecken right here.
Nick is
let me tell you why I am correct in this tenuous situation.
Nick is currently basically
no.
This is what Nick is whistling as he merrily plants his petard in a hole and is shoveling dirt over it, watching his foes approach. He's like, I cannot.
I will never get hoisted by this petard.
This petard is for those fellows yonder.
No. So here's where I actually am. I'm midair. I will admit that we are fully in the air. We have been hoisted, all right? But I agree with Jake's interpretation, which is that I think if you can ultimately say that you were hoisted by somebody else, that the self-destruction element, in other words, once you can trace the destruction back to another person,
right?
So
I think we're basically like Metroid, rocket jumping our way up in the air by self-hoisting after we've been hoisted. But I don't think that counts. I don't think that counts. I think if you can trace it back, we've been popped in the air by a grenade.
You're saying we got played by someone else,
yes,
and then once in the middle of that explosion launching us into the air,
we chain hoisting.
We then just to fuck up this analogy, we basically built a building from there, not knowing that we were already 50 feet in the air.
Right,
Yes, exactly.
We are existing only on explosions.
So we've hoisted ourselves to the moon after someone else hoisted us when they told us that poo story, and we believed them.
Because the original, I haven't contacted the person that told me the story.
Please do. We need Exhibit B desperately.
I will try. But
sorry. Exhibit A, the definition of hoisted. Exhibit B, original testimony by the person who told me this story.
By the hoister.
By the hoister.
The alleged hoister.
Alleged hoister?
I can tell you that I know for sure that I didn't mishear the story when it was originally told to me. It was not told as in I read this chain email today, and it had this funny story.
It was told to you by someone who likely believed
in 100%
was also hoisted.
Yeah, I got this email that said FWD // hoisted.
Right. Or I mean, so yes, it was either told to me while that person was in midair and I just didn't see them, or it's entirely possible, knowing this person, that they were the original hoister and they. Having read the story,
hoisting the planet.
That they basically. Well, no, not the originator of this story. I don't think that's the case. That's an incredibly small percentage.
The true original hoister is the person who hoisted themselves by leaving a poo in a house.
Right.
And then everyone since
we don't know if that's real, but
this could have. We don't know if this story originated as a tale of self-hoisting or as an intentional hoisting of everyone to come.
Right. That's true.
Anyway, so Nick, you're
just
saying
a domino effect of explosions just crossing the globe.
Hoisted as like the population. A guy says hoisted whenever anyone gets hoisted.
Yeah, I got that.
It's
it's
picked up on that one.
It's a wave file, only can one play at a time.
I understand.
So it's either that person was hoisted themselves, or it is entirely conceivable to me that this person read that story and then assumed it, intending to hoist other people with it, right? So like I suspect that's the case, but I will find out. Either way, we were not hoisted.
We don't yet know how high up in the sky we are at this point.
Right.
We could be standing on the shoulders of hoisters going
Entire
down.
Civilizations have been built on top of this hoisting, and they don't know it.
Yeah.
But it's all going to come crashing down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it already has, thanks to Snopes.com. Mm-hmm. Chris, what was the thing you made a fake Snopes for?
God, what did I make a fake Snopes
Back
of?
to the Future.
Oh! I just remembered that.
It was the
Marty McFly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I once made a fake website that was... that I was modeled exactly on Snopes. I registered the domain snopes.info, and I made a website that intentionally mischaracterized the date of Marty McFly's Back to the Future 2 time travel.
Yeah, the day that he goes back to the Future in 2015.
Right?
Yeah, and it was on the day that it was actually.
Oh, you're like, nope, guys.
I was like, don't fall for this common prank that today is the day Marty McFly went back to the future. It's not today. It's like some other completely different day. And I made a fake Snopes for it that looked completely real at the domain snopes.info. I replicated the same URL scheme that they use. I made it as completely convincing as I could, and it spread like wildfire on the internet instantly. And then I was involved in a weeks-long battle with the actual Snopes website, who contacted me through LinkedIn because they couldn't find any other way to contact me, and I ignored them for quite some time until they threatened me with legal action, demanding to get the page taken down. And then once they did that, I said, "Oh, okay, don't worry, I'll transfer the domain name over to you," which I then did not do. And they eventually actually filed an injunction or something against the company that I registered the domain name with, and they just took it by force. So I eventually, after much protestation, I was hoisted by Snopes. But I had perpetrated quite a hoisting, I think, leading up to that point.
Yeah. I remember they were really stern with you for a while, and then when they realized that
that I have a bunch of Twitter followers.
They're like, "Oh, you have a bunch of Twitter followers." The guy's like, "We should have known that it was a joke, but actually legally we're stealing the domain name without telling you now." Ha ha ha.
Yeah. Yeah, they got really they got much more placating once they realized that I was not that it matters. I'm not a famous person at all.
Did you reply to all of them with it really sucks you guys did this today, the day that Marty McFly went back to the future?
Oh, I should have. I didn't even think about it.
Is there any footnote on Snopes relating to this? Is there any?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I think they hated that this happened and did not ever want to acknowledge it.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're really mad.
Do you guys want to do an email?
Yeah.
Sure.
So Patrick writes, I started watching 13 Reasons Why, and one of the things making me feel super old is that so many of the high schoolers have tattoos. One girl has sleeves, neck tattoos, and a chest plate. Is this a thing in 2017? It's a good thing I wasn't allowed to get a tattoo in high school because I could have had Jim Morrison on my bicep right now. If you got a tattoo at the age of 16, what would it have been? I think following my opening remarks about my like Garfield-related coffee insecurities, I think it is safe to say I and probably we are the least appropriate people to ask about authentic teen behavior in 2017.
Yeah.
That is about I think as far from our core competency at this point as is possible to get.
We got owned by a chain email. We are officially fucking old.
Oh my God, you're right. Oh, wow.
Super old guys.
Yes, that is. Oh wow.
We reported it as fact. We spread fake news on our podcast. On our podcast. On our audio podcast. On our radio show.
I'm very glad I didn't get a tattoo when I was a teen because, I mean, I can very much relate to Patrick's sentiment here because there is a 1,000% chance that if I were the kind of person who would have, blatantly disregarded the clear, extremely strong desires of my parents that I not get a tattoo, had I counteracted those wishes, I definitely would have gotten like a huge tattoo of like the fallen angel from the Led Zeppelin album cover. Like it definitely would have been some fucking garbage like that. It would absolutely have been the most like that guy crap. I had
the odds that I would actually like maybe have a Macintosh computer on my body.
Oh man!
If someone was like, "You have to get a tattoo," and I'm like, "Oh no."
Just the classic icon, the classic Happy Mac icon.
Yeah.
If I had a little pixel art Happy Mac tattooed on me that I got in high school, I would actually be proud of myself. But it would probably be like that shitty smiley Finder icon. What if I had a Steve Jobs face that I then tattooed an RIP on later?
Oh Jesus! The Happy Mac icon would have aged better than what I would have gotten. I mean, because then you could now be like. Funny, like slightly ironic, cool geek guy, which is a very cool thing in the culture. Where I definitely would have just had some.
You would have the tattoo that even
classic 70s classic rock, like
I think Brock Sampson on the Venture Brothers has that tattoo, and he's
you're right.
He's like the biggest, most ripped dude in the world. But even every character on that show gives him shit for having a Led Zeppelin angel tattoo.
Yeah, that's true. God, I wasn't even thinking about that. Yeah. I had a handmade. This is so horrible to like just talk about. Not because it's like a bad thing morally. It's just so embarrassingly lame. I had like a handmade printed out poster in my dorm room that said Jimmy Page is a god and had like this photo of Jimmy Page like playing his guitar with one hand. Yeah, just I'm just contextualizing like my extreme gratitude for not having gotten a tattoo at that age.
Good work. Yeah, you made it out of being teen successfully.
Oh yeah.
Nick, what's your tattoo?
It probably would have been one of two things. It might have been something close to what Chris said.
Oh, really?
Because I was really into Zeppelin and Pink Floyd.
I didn't
Pink
know
Floyd
that.
especially.
I was obsessed with Pink Floyd.
Oh, yeah. I had an era there where it was just like burn CDs, just like stacked and just listening to Pink Floyd and Led Zeppelin all the time.
Our friend Cable Sasser recently posted on Twitter, what was your first Amazon.com order?
Oh, man.
And I looked mine up, and mine was in 2000, and it was Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, and that was when I was 16. That was literally that age. I was obsessed with Led Zeppelin before Pink Floyd, but became ultimately much more obsessed with Pink Floyd even than I was with Zeppelin. Yeah. So that guy definitely.
It would have been that or probably something really embarrassing like a Japanese kanji that says like cool or you know what I mean? Like something stupid like that. Like I completely would buy.
Because there's the other version.
In the early aughts, like, Japanese culture exists, so I'm going to get a fucking letter
yeah, that's true.
and make this stuff cool.
The variant of this is instead of any of us actually feeling like we have the agency and self-confidence to go to a tattoo artist and say, put this nerdy shit on my body.
Yeah.
You'd instead be there with some friend who pressured you into going, and you'd go, oh, this. And you point at like a shitty, like random symbol in a language you don't understand, or like an icon of a sun or something that's now just like on your body because it was in the book. Like, this is the least offensive thing that geez. The best tattoo I think that I have ever seen that I wish was on my body was on
could be
on It would be very easy to make. Our friend Sean had a friend who seems to have gotten drunk.
This was a friend? I thought
it was just an acquaintance. It was like a friend of a friend of a friend who he encountered at some like social gathering, who had gotten drunk near someone else who had a tattoo needle and professed to know how to use it, and requested that person just write the name B.D. Wong on the middle of his leg. So it's tiny. It looks like if you like write on like a little small Post-it note to be like just like Lucky Charms, or like you're writing yourself like a little note to go to the store. It's like that type of handwriting and that size. So it's like tiny on a person, and it's like in the middle of their like upper shin or something.
Oh, God.
And it just like in someone's handwriting says B.D. Wong, and that's it. Like, Jesus.
Wow.
Like, if I ever got a tattoo, like I can't now because that guy has it.
Yeah.
And I would never think of it. Like, I'm not a good enough person to come up with that as my wish. Fuck, if I had a mid-leg, tiny, barely legible BD Wong that looked like I got bored and wrote BD Wong on my own leg with a ballpoint pen, that would
Permanently.
be... Yeah, but it's there forever. Oh, what a good... I'm sure that guy regrets it, but like...
But you don't.
Wait I don't regret that he has
don't
it.
regret
No.
that guy has it.
God,
I
that BD Wong
yeah.
tattoo.
We tried to find that picture.
Yeah, Sean was digging
Yeah.
through his phone trying to find it. We couldn't find it.
Yeah. But I've seen it too. I can verify this is a real actual thing.
Man, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Moving on, we have an email from Kala. I'm certain that's an incorrect pronunciation. But this person writes, I'm about to make my first guest spot on a fairly popular Swedish movie podcast in which I will be discussing the career of Bruce Willis. At first I thought this sounded like fun, but now that the date is rapidly approaching, I am feeling performance anxiety. Will I be funny enough, informed enough? Will I have chemistry with the 3 regular hosts, one of whom I am friends with? What are your tips for someone like me? What did you learn or realize in order to become good podcasters? What do you want from a guest on your podcast, especially if it's someone you don't know all that well? Thanks to all of you for providing lovely nonsense that pleases the ears on a weekly basis, and I'm greatly looking forward to the return of Twin Peaks Rewatch. All the best. Kalle from Sweden. Twin Peaks Rewatch has returned. I don't really know how to be a good podcast guest or podcaster in general. I will say that in something I have had to overcome to try and be a better one is to become the kind of person who's comfortable admitting that he struggles with Garfield-related coffee insecurities and admits to surely the like alternate universe in which he got the Led Zeppelin angel tattoo on his back. That is not those are not like self-revelations I would have made a decade ago. I don't know that that's what is needed on a like Bruce Willis.
You have to admit that you really, really enjoy Die Hard 2. In other words, you have to be comfortable enough to say that Die Hard 2 is the best of the series.
2.
Yeah.
When he says, "At first I thought this sounded like fun, but now that the date is rapidly approaching, I'm feeling performance anxiety." That is how I feel
all of it.
literally
all
every
podcasts.
single week.
Yeah.
Every single time. Even in like so after we record a podcast is generally the time, like when we press stop on the recording software, that is the point at which I am most enthusiastic about recording a podcast. When we've just finished recording a podcast and therefore I have empirical proof that I am capable of recording one, that is the point at which my brain is like, yeah, recording podcasts.
Oh, that's never true for me. The moment
really?
The moment after we record is when I'm like, what a piece of shit.
Oh, I might think that about
was terrible. We should throw everything we've ever made away.
Yeah.
I should just be guests on other people's podcasts. No, I don't know. I see what you mean, though.
I mean, as we approach doing the podcast every week, that is when I am at my like most insecure and like confident that it's going to be a disaster. So I guess learn to live with that. Also,
Yeah.
Just assume it's going to be awful. Just our advice is it's going to be terrible.
Is like you and your abilities are garbage.
Yeah.
Just be fine.
Admit that you're garbage and know that it will be bad.
Mm-hmm.
I think knowing when to talk, knowing when to listen until the host is done talking, knowing when it's actually correctly the appropriate time to like jump in with your aside and what you're going to say is a thing that I still suck horribly at, and it's actually the thing that I kick myself the most for. But when I'm good at it, either as a host on a podcast or a guest, I'm really proud of myself. When I don't step on other people to get my own stupid idea in, which the moment I start talking, I realize is a stupid idea and that I've just blown everyone else's conversation by insisting that I be a part of it, and like, or alternatively, waiting until it's my turn and having something that I've thought about for a second to say, and then being able to say it in a normal sounding, precise way. That's also advice that I should probably keep for all social interactions and all conversations. But unfortunately, I'm a person who compartmentalizes all these different things into slightly different modes, and it takes a long time for it to bleed over out of one skill set and into another. So I'm probably a terrible conversationalist and an all right podcast host because I actually think about being a podcast host.
Just carry a microphone around with you everywhere you go, and always be recording yourself so you're always on a podcast. And then also always be live streaming it to the world.
So you're saying be a millionaire like next week? Because I'm pretty sure if I started doing that, that's what would happen.
TV.
Yeah. But like 2.
No one's done that with audio, have they? That would be fucking weird. That would be so much weirder.
It would be creepy and boring
version.
also.
It would be creepy and boring. It would be creepy and boring and intensely fucked up. Yeah. But maybe it would make you a better conversationalist.
Maybe it would make me get beat up in public because someone's like, why are you recording everything? Who are you talking to?
They wouldn't know.
They'd figure out that I was doing something weird because I have a microphone.
Oh, make it hide it, though.
We'll see. I think that I would get beat up, and then it would also have it would work in a roundabout way because I just wouldn't want to do podcasts or talk to people anymore.
You haven't interrupted anyone ever since you started this process because they keep kicking your ass and you stop talking.
I'm dead now.
This is terrible. This isn't useful at all.
It is. The part that I said before the part where I kept talking. True. Also, know when to stop talking. That's really good advice. Like, know when you've said your piece and you're just rambling on and ruining the episode that you're on. Mm-hmm. What I'm saying is be incredibly self-conscious, but just not quite to the point that it cripples your appearance on a podcast. Like, walk that line real close, though.
This episode is revealing what disasters we are internally more than ever before. I'm getting to the point where it's maybe getting too self-revelatory, and it's starting to make me distressed.
I'm fine.
Also, the entire time you were saying that, I was so intensely conscious of not interrupting you.
I was waiting for you to just slam an interruption on top of me. Yeah. But instead you were too worried about it.
I was too worried about it. It's true. Yeah. I constantly wish I could take habits that I try and cultivate on the podcast into my life. I mean, I totally relate to that. I'm so much more aware of my verbal tics when I'm on a podcast than when I am just speaking with someone, which is bad because I already abuse too many of them. I already say like too much, for instance, on a podcast, which makes me think it's probably catastrophic when I'm not on a podcast and I'm not actually incredibly self-aware, of what I'm saying. Yeah. So
I'm always aware that I'm making up the sentences I'm in the middle of saying it on a podcast, and I'm barely going to sail to the end of it intact.
Yeah, and you're just log rolling.
Yeah, but oh man. So in real life, I mean, I just trip over myself about every 3 sentences.
Mm-hmm. And physically.
I can't walk backwards.
Is that true?
I literally can, but if I do, I think I usually average about 10 steps before I fall over or trip on something or run into something. Like,
interesting.
Huh.
I just find things. Like, if I walk backwards, I'll find the treasure. I'm the idiot character in like an 80s movie. I'm like the stupid klutzy fat kid who then like backs into either
opens the secret passage,
right? Yeah, or like steps on the button that damns everyone. But then it turns out it comes in handy, and it's good because I found a stupid Goonies trash. But usually like there was like when I
found this Goonies DVD. I think this will come in handy in solving the mystery of the Goonies in which we are currently embroiled.
They're in the Goonies reboot where they do find the Goonies DVD, and it is the thing that they have to play to learn how to solve the puzzle because they're a bunch of kids who never saw Goonies.
Is that real? Because that just sounds totally plausible.
It's real because I'm a millionaire now because of that idea instead of my previous idea of recording my audio of me getting beat up.
All right, let's take a break.
Yeah.
Oh, what?
I became a millionaire twice already on this episode. I don't want to stop right now.
This episode of Important If True is brought to you by Quip, electric toothbrushes with brush head refills every 3 months, so your brush heads are always brand new, not splayed and flayed. Although, as a follow-up to this, on the forums from user Jambe, they said, y'all introduced me to Quip, I used your URL for the refill discount, and I quite like the tool. Chris said, thanks to the refills, our bristles won't be frayed, flayed, or pooched. In fact, they're supposed to be frayed, though I can't speak to flayed or pooched. Ben Krasnow of Applied Science and Valve, Google, etc., took some neat before-after images of new and used toothbrushes using his own scanning electron microscope. I watched this video. It is a crazy thing. New brush heads. The bristles actually are like frayed and ragged, and that is intentional.
That's why they have that good feel on your teeth, right?
Yeah, they actually scrape the plaque off.
Yeah.
And the more you use your toothbrush, the more you basically polish down the hair, the bristles on the brush head to the point that they become basically perfectly smooth cylinders. And so after you use your brush head for a while, what happens is they get much less effective at cleaning your teeth because they've been essentially sanded down by the toothpaste. The toothpaste itself is abrasive, and so it actually also sands down the bristles, and it makes them less effective. Yeah, they just sort of wipe over your teeth instead of actually wiping stuff off of them. Totally crazy, counterintuitive fact. So you get a new brush head refill from Quip, and then you've got that frayed
It's so
bristle.
pooched.
It's just pooched and frayed, bristling.
It's downright
on the teeth.
gross.
If you go to,
What a savings it is.
if you if you go to tryquip.com/thumbs, you will get $10 off your first frayed brush head refill. Get that plaque off your teeth with those frayed bristles. Tryquip.com/thumbs. This episode of Important If True is also brought to you by Twin Peaks Rewatch.
Wow.
Yeah.
They shelled out for this.
Mm-hmm. This is a show that Jake and I do. We did do it for, I think, like
almost
a year. Yeah, we rewatched every episode of Twin Peaks, seasons 1 and 2, had a couple follow-up sort of finisher episodes about some assorted materials. And now that Twin Peaks is actually returning for a third season.
It has returned by the time you're listening to this.
That's true, actually. By the time you've listened to this, there are already 4 episodes to watch.
Yeah, because Showtime put 4 up at once.
Yeah. So so we're following that along. We at the time we're recording this, we haven't yet seen any of the new season.
So we don't know what it's like yet.
We don't know what it's like yet. But it's up now, presumably, at twinpeaksrewatch.com. And we'll be just following it every week until season 3 has concluded. And I'm really excited about getting back into it. I had a ton of fun doing that podcast for the original run, and I'm looking forward to do it again now. That's twinpeaksrewatch.com. All right, we are back. I think we're back.
Yeah.
Okay. Several people sent us an amazing news item about the online sort of virtual world Second Life, which was weirdly mentioned last week in the context of
Chicken
chickens.
VR.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Second Livestock?
Yeah, Second Livestock was the wacky joke.
Yeah. Second Life is just a virtual world online where people hang out and sort of you can buy clothing and accessories and buildings and just all
property
and
like land,
and all the things that you sort of can buy in real life, except it's a wacky online world. And one of the things
that's referred to as WoW.
Wacky online world. And
if you hear people talking about WoW, we're pretty sure that's what they're talking about.
That's true. The wacky online world.
Anyway, I got this email about poop in a bag, and then I heard these kids talking about WoW. These tattooed kids.
One of the things you can buy in Second Life is pets, and what appears to be the sort of leading provider of rabbit pets, like bunny pets, in Second Life is called Ozimoles. And they sell in the way that like everything on the internet sort of often seems to start with like the promise of unrestrained kind of democratized utopia, but then just becomes sort of tawdry, like nickel and dime capitalist nightmare. Of course, the way that you actually these work is you buy the rabbit, but then you have to continually buy fake virtual food for it, or the rabbit will like go to sleep forever. So what is happening is this aftermarket bunny developer got hit with some kind of cease and desist, the nature of which is entirely unspecified.
Okay.
I don't know who is asking them to cease and desist. And because they don't have the resources to challenge this in court, they are removing all of their bunny products from the market, including the rabbits, their cartoonish birds called pufflings, and support for existing products like the food that is fed to the rabbits. In other words, if you already have a rabbit in Second Life, your rabbit will still be there, but you can never buy food for it again. After 72 hours of not eating, the bunnies go to sleep.
It's so fucked up.
Yeah, it's so fucked up. That is actually happening now, as we record this podcast.
Bunnies
Today
are sleeping
is
all over the world.
Bunnies are sleeping. They just
I like.
It was
Oh,
Wednesday.
no.
It was Wednesday that this company went out of took all their stuff off the market. 72 hours after that is now. There's one exception, which is that you could buy up to an everlasting timepiece, which would make your rabbit never need to eat food again. So if you, before this happened,
If you were a rabbit whale.
if you were a rabbit whale and you made your rabbit immortal, your rabbit is fine forever. But all of the just like shitty mortal rabbits are going. There's a rabbit genocide happening in Second Life as we speak.
What?
What is true?
Yeah, I know. It's sad in so many ways.
Yeah.
Number one, just capitalism.
Yeah.
Like the fact that you can buy your rabbit out of the system is incredible.
Right. Isn't
Oh
it?
yeah, no, it's amazing.
Also, the fact that the company didn't decide, like, okay, the rabbits are currently at rabbit version 2.3. Right before we go out of business, we're going to put out version 2.3.01 that turns the food off. Like like they just don't need to eat anymore. You can have your rabbit. Instead, the fact that they're like, well, we're going to take all the effort to take the food off the shelves, and like we're going to delist everything, and we're going to push updates to remove all of our software, explicitly knowing that it will kill your pet.
It's just life, Jake. It's just life. Except for the immoral rabbits.
It's just
please.
life.
Except,
Yeah. Sorry, the people
unless
who have
you've
given
already
us,
paid us a bunch of
if
money.
you've given us hundreds of dollars, your rabbit will be fine.
I think the pufflings are also fine. I think I'm not sure.
Oh, the pufflings.
I'm not sure if the pufflings are fine or not, actually.
Oh, thank God.
Just me strangling. Are the pufflings okay? It's troubling because Second Life, for all of the shit that everyone gives Second Life because it's such an easy thing to make fun of.
Oh, you mean because it's a capitalist dystopia in which all bunnies have been sentenced to death hours ago?
The problem is Second Life, like, we're living in that capitalist dystopia as well. It's just we just don't know it yet, I think.
Oh, you know what's interesting? If you
By which I mean my food is DRM'd and I'm going to die tonight.
the immortal rabbits are rendered sterile, so they can't breed. Only mortal rabbits can breed. So in other words, like not
Wait, so
only,
the rabbits could be kept alive by just breeding like crazy.
Oh my God! If they
get
breed,
those rabbits going right now, they only get 72 hours.
Oh my God!
To bone
no.
and give birth.
Oh, so
what a disaster!
Their species has changed. The rules have changed.
Oh,
because the immortal rabbits right now can give birth.
No, they're sterile.
No, never. In order to
okay.
make your rabbit immortal, you have to also accept that they will be sterilized,
Right.
and cannot breed.
This is,
Otherwise, you could, I guess, just keep breeding immortal rabbits.
yeah. That's
Yeah.
weird.
Then
Why wouldn't they just give birth to mortal rabbits?
Because I guess
What is the
Mortal
lore
rabbits
here?
don't exist anymore.
No, Chris means they've always been sterile, right?
Yeah, the immortal rabbits, in order to ever have opted
Right.
in-
I'm saying, but they wouldn't give birth to mortal rabbits, though.
Why not?
I mean,
this is all just made up. Some people just fucking
Yeah.
made all this shit up. They could have made it do anything.
What it doesn't matter because all of these rules could just scroll by at the opening of like a John Carpenter movie or of like Logan's Run or something, where it's just like
Yeah.
without food you only live for 3 days. The food supply was cut off when the company
the
went
Osmos
when
Corporation.
they went out of business.
Yeah.
Some
Declared
are immortal, but
bankruptcy.
they cannot breed.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, okay, go. Yeah.
That is actually a totally like fucked up premise. If they were people instead of rabbits.
What? You have 3 days to fuck and then give birth to a child.
That's not that. I mean, that is just a more extreme version of Logan's Run.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess they would. They wouldn't be like bred literally. They would have to be clones or something. You know what I mean? It would have to be some weird thing where you pop out as a clone, but you have a full lifetime of memories before that. But you only have 3 days.
3 days to breed.
Yeah, I guess. I guess it doesn't translate 100%.
No, it's easier when it's a cybernetic rabbit that's made of polygons that you can just choose its requirements.
Yeah. I feel like there is a weird pitch in there for.
I'm going to say it's bad. Also, just the straight up simplest thing is if you are anyone who's been keeping your pet bunny alive in Second Life for all this time, it's got to have been a long time.
That sucks, yeah.
When was the last time anyone cared about Second Life? If you're someone who does care about Second Life, you care about it dearly. So for them to be like, we got a note from a lawyer and we got to take the bunny food off the shelves.
Yeah. What a weird decision. What a weird way to execute this decision. To execute these rabbits, I mean.
In this case, though, the bunnies will just be asleep, taking up space in Second Life forever.
Yeah, because they're not actually dead.
They're not going to fade away.
Hibernating. So there's just going to be bunny corpses. Littering. I wonder if you can destroy them. Can you cremate your hibernating?
That's the lead character
can you
of
cremate
that.
your hibernating pet rabbit
film.
alive?
I don't know.
Yeah.
You could probably bury it alive.
They're technically not dead. That's what you tell your fake kid in Second Life. That's what you tell your fake robot kid in Second Life who you're desperately hoping their fucking Gerber fake baby food doesn't stop being sold.
They'll probably become commodities. I imagine somebody just collecting hibernating rabbits.
Oh, maybe it'll become an economy.
And it'll become the hibernating rabbit economy. Where
that's true. You know what? No,
I've got 50.
Fair enough.
I've got 50 pink ones.
You're right.
If you can't add or remove any from the game,
right?
Yeah.
That is totally could become a secondary economy.
Yeah.
New currency, sleeping rabbits.
Yeah.
Right. What do you do? This is an indestructible rabbit. This isn't a sleeping rabbit. What are you trying to pass off on me here? What is this, huh?
This is a live, immortal rabbit. This rabbit's fucking jumping around.
If it woke up, it couldn't even have sex with another rabbit. This is sterile. They're trading them on the promise that one day they might wake up and then give them more rabbits. That's why you want to keep them.
Oh, man. It's an investment.
In case someone hacks the rabbit food infrastructure.
Right.
Weird.
Yeah. In case the rabbit food gets a worm.
That took me... What? Okay. I guess moving on here. We have a follow-up to something that's been mentioned. I endorsed, 2 weeks ago maybe? I endorsed photic sneezing, the phenomenon of sneezing when your eyes are exposed to sunlight. Something that I have... Although apparently not as intensely as some people have it. For me, it only really works if I already am having the little inklings of a sneeze.
And you have to look at something very bright, right?
Yeah, and then if I look at the sun, or I guess in theory a very bright light, I can coax it out. I've gotten really good at coaxing out the sneeze. It's sort of a skill. But apparently some people have this really intensely. So Ben writes, I'm a PhD candidate in neuroscience and a photic sneezer. I can confirm the photic sneeze reflex is definitely real, although understudied in the medical literature mainly because it's not harmful in any meaningful way. As Nick mentioned, it seems to be hereditary, and the most convincing putative mechanism for it is a genetically based unintentional crossing of the trigeminal nerve, which controls facial sensation, and the optic nerve. Thus, any bright light source, not just the sun, can be misinterpreted as an irritant to the nasal mucous membrane, triggering a sneeze. Photic sneezing is also known as autosomal dominant compelling helio-ophthalmic outburst syndrome. Achoo, because scientists are dorks.
Boo!
Yeah.
Boo!
A phenomenon related to photic sneezing is the stomach sneeze reflex, which induces sneezing when full, such as after a meal. This syndrome is amusingly called snatiation, a portmanteau of sneeze and satiation.
No!
In sum, Chris is not crazy for believing in photic sneezing.
Why is that poo story fake, but that is real? I don't know about the world. Okay, that is all amazing facts.
We have another email from Super Sneeze Man who writes,
God damn it!
Both my mother and father have this response to sunlight, as do I, but worse. When I go outside on a bright sunny day, I sneeze a minimum of 3 times. Contrary to what Chris said, I can easily sneeze from a bright indoor light as well. It even happens that when I am in a dark room late at night and open google.com, the bright white webpage makes me sneeze. Over the last couple of years, I have also developed a case of sexually induced sneezing. Sin? There's the sin. There's no N. Meaning whenever there is something sexually arousing.
Yeah, the acronym he's looking for is cis. We're not going there. Papa.
Meaning whenever there is something sexually arousing, there's also a tendency to sneeze. I enjoy the feeling of sneezing rather than suppressing it, so I do consider these afflictions a superpower. Keep up with the great podcast. Regards, Super Sneeze Man. How do you
wanna know
pair
this.
those two pieces of information? I can't even begin to imagine. There's a definition of this as early as 1897 in remarks before the British Medical Association at a meeting in Montreal. When reports the case of a man who, when prompted to indulge in sexual intercourse, was immediately prior to the act seized with a fit of sneezing. Even the thought of sexual pleasure with a female was sufficient to provoke this peculiar idiosyncrasy. Another possible explanation concerns the existence of erectile tissue in the nose, which may become engorged during sexual arousal, triggering a sneeze.
Good fact.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm just gonna throw it out there that Nick's former coworker definitely left a poo in a house.
Yeah, there isn't a world in which that didn't happen at some point, but all of this does.
Yeah. Well, we've
regularity.
gotten now into sneezing. It went a place that I was not expecting, because I guess a thing that a few people have said maybe in these emails, but on the forums as well, is that people with photic sneezing are often the people who find sneezing pleasurable instead of frustrating.
Oh yeah, sneezing is great.
Which makes what I was thinking tough, because I hadn't put those two things together. But what I was thinking about was, if there really is a fifth of the population that's affected by this, which is the number that I saw when I saw photic sneezing, like about a fifth of people are somewhere on the photic sneezing scale, or the piss.
I think it also varies by ethnicity in the way that some genetic traits do, like some sort of superficial traits.
It's surprising that there aren't any sort of workarounds or concessions made for this being a thing that happens to people.
You mean just in society?
Yeah, like
what?
If anything else just randomly medically affected a fifth of the population. I mean, I guess
I think the way that women's health is treated disproves your theory about this.
I was going to say, especially given that it seems to
right, it affects men as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's plenty of white men who are photic sneezers, but maybe they derive pleasure from it, so it's fine. It's their silent secret.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of it is that it is in fact enjoyable for many people.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
I can't now talk about this without thinking of the fucking sex version.
I know.
Every time I say anything.
This is how we suppress all of you shitty sneezers, as we make it into a weird pervy thing. So the stupid thing that my brain jumped to this, when it comes to like involuntary action to sensory input, is the theme song to Law and Order. And the fact that it makes
What are you talking about?
Okay, you know the theme song to Law and Order? It's just
bum, 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 bum,
and then like the guitar going wow wow wow. Yeah. So it covers it all. When a dog hears the theme song to Law and Order, it goes apeshit. Did you guys know this? Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Is that a thing? I've seen one video of a dog doing this. Is this common with dogs in general?
This is the most real thing. I have a 24 video YouTube playlist, but I won't play all of them. I'll just link the playlist, yeah.
Yeah, we just linked the playlist. That is bizarre.
Yes.
What's weird is I really fully expected it for them to all go apeshit at a specific point, or at least start at a specific point, but it seems like right off the bat.
This became such a weird meme. Like there was one dog video went up, and then that got written up a bunch, and then a bunch of and then people went, oh, actually, someone had uploaded, because it's YouTube. 3 years before this, someone uploaded their dog doing it, and then a bunch of people decided to test it on their dogs, and the Law and Order. But it's not always when the guitar comes in. It's not always when the flute comes in. It's not always when the ba comes in. It's just like different dogs.
I wonder
does anyone
if
analyze
there's a weird
the track?
frequency.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, because I don't think people have managed to find like the exact piece through isolation, because the different articles that I've read have had people be like, oh, dogs don't like high frequency noise. Then someone's like, oh, it's definitely the vibration of the low notes of the ba, and then some people are like, well, it's the guitar. So
I mean,
there probably is a canonical
There's
answer,
definitely
but
something about the Law and Order theme in general, because I remember when I was in high school, my friend Tyler, who was the drummer in my band,
when you played beneath that poster that you had.
Yeah. That was in college, but
yeah, sorry.
That's fine. We
in spirit you did.
My friend Kenny, who played bass with us, he and I would sometimes like jam out to the Law and Order theme because we thought it was funny, and
because it is,
and Tyler just fucking hated it. Like, he could not stand to hear the Law and Order theme. It was like repulsive to him on some sort of existential level. There is something about the sound of the Law and Order theme that does something to like organic beings, I think. God, if only I had Law and Order induced sneezing.
You'd be sneezing all the goddamn time.
That would be great, because I could just go to YouTube and put that in there.
You could just watch the dog's barking playlist, but then every time the dog barks, you'd sneeze. But then you would develop a weird thing where dog barking made you sneeze, and then you would be super stoked.
See, again, I can't now stop conflating this with the sex sneeze, and every version of it sounds terrible.
Well, yeah, you would also develop all sorts of fetishes that you would not confess to anyone, despite how sort of forthcoming about yourself you've become as a podcast host.
Yeah. Oh, horrible. This is really putting a damper
I got a
on
bad
my
case of
enjoyment
cysts.
of sneezing. Oh, I don't. Man.
I hate all of this. So I actually just found something on the internet that I think credibly explains this dog Law and Order thing.
I look forward to this credible information from the internet.
Yes.
They love it. Oh, that's what the composer of the Law and Order theme said, by the way, in the article that I read. Was like, well, if dogs, I mean, anyone liking your music's great, and if those dogs are happy, then I'm happy.
Weird. Always happy to have a new fan. Like, what?
Yeah, what a weird...
So that's what you found, right?
This is an MSNBC article that quotes Peter Borschelt.
So this is going to be like leftist propaganda about the Law and Order dog barking.
It's an animal behaviorist. He's an animal behaviorist in New York City. He says, the social synchrony that comes with joining in the howl feels good. It's an ancestral sort of like
a wolf.
It's based in wolves. And he says, well, wolves will sometimes howl at non-wolf sounds like a clarinet, and so they actually like learn this behavior. Celebrity dog wrangler Wendy Diamond rules out the idea that dogs are hearing a pitch in the theme that humans can't. Televisions are limited in their range, she says, and what she's saying is that they're actually just becoming conditioned by the opening notes of the show, and they run over and start howling because they have these like ancestral wolf.
Oh, so it's that
thing.
like at some there's the howl at some point in the thing.
Yeah.
But once they've heard it a few times,
then they go, oh, it's that thing.
They hear the beginning part of it. They're like, I know what's coming next.
Oh yeah, it's the thing we all howl at.
So what is the howl part?
It's a group dynamic, I guess.
No, but I mean, what is the musical element that?
Oh,
Nick is saying that it might actually be different per dog because it has something in it that evokes the feeling of howling. But then, like, dogs end up reading the Law and Order theme as this is the pack getting riled up.
So it's just the vibe of the Law and Order theme. It's not even like one instrument.
It's like
it might be one instrument.
A Dick Wolf production.
Oh my God! It's a Dick Wolf production.
Oh, for God's sakes!
What? It's the howl of Dick Wolf.
No, I know.
Amazing.
Yeah.
They recognize
one of their own.
One of their, common ancestors.
We were all wolves
Jesus
once.
Christ.
And then Dick Wolf says, I still am.
Okay. Well, shall we do some endorsements?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Nick, what are you endorsing?
I'm going to endorse an old YouTube series that I guess is probably still running.
Oh, really?
But you were talking about Led Zeppelin and just like rock music came up a few times in this episode. Reminded me of the classic YouTube series that is run by a guy, I guess by but I guess his moniker is Saint Sanders.
Oh, that's been pulled from YouTube for years, but you can still find it online.
Okay, I think he has a website where he has
videos.
them. Yeah, but it's the Shreds series of videos by Saint Sanders, which I think he has a website.
ST Sanders.
ST Sanders, and I think it's stsanders.com. He takes
good.
just like bands that are sort of at the top of their, I don't know, like basically just he'll take like a Led Zeppelin like live show or
usually very guitar oriented
like
bands, the kinds of bands that would have a big guitar solo.
Yeah,
like he had a Metallica one, might have been
Van
the first
Halen
one I
and
saw.
stuff like that.
Van Halen.
People who are just like really flamboyant on stage.
Yeah,
as they're playing guitar, and then he dubs over that with him just playing as if like he's a child that doesn't know how to play guitar, but skillfully though, like in a way that is incredibly hilarious. That like if you just handed a guitar to a child, it wouldn't. He's doing it basically in time with the video.
Every time that they sort of move around on a fret or actually pluck a string, he lines up with that, but it's going blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So it just sounds like they're like,
and if they open their mouths, he just goes.
What's funny is that he follows the camera as though whatever the camera is on is the only thing that's making sound. It's just the whole thing is really funny. You're right that he has a website that has links to this stuff. If you go to stsanders.com, man, good pull. The Shreds videos, great.
I love them.
I am going to endorse an iOS game called A Dark Room.
Oh man, nice.
Yeah, this is I love this thing. This is years after it's been released. I only found out about it this week. Our friend Sean mentioned it to me and didn't tell me much about it, which I think is correct. So I'm not going to share a lot of details about it. It's 99 cents. You can get it on the App Store. I'm not sure if it's available on Android. I think it might just be iOS. But it's called A Dark Room, and it starts with almost nothing. And apparently some people who get this game think they've been ripped off or something because there's so little to it. Just stick with it. Just keep going. I guarantee it will become bigger and more interesting and subtle and deep than you are expecting, and it's just a great experience. It's only 99 cents. So what do you have to lose? It's called A Dark Room, and you can get it on the iOS App Store.
Nice.
Jake.
I don't feel like I've recommended a lot of home life enriching cheesy products on this show, but I'm gonna definitely dive headfirst into that now, and I'm going to recommend I feel bad about it. I'm going to recommend a paper towel holder.
I saw
Everyone
this.
has paper towel holders.
Oh, this one's so good. Okay, it's okay.
This is the most. Yeah. Okay.
It's a.
Wait, so you're saying you're not recommending?
I'm recommending the Kamenstein Perfect Tear paper towel holder.
Jesus Christ.
It's a paper towel holder.
How do you spell that? Kamenstein?
Kamenstein.
The Kamenstein.
Yes, some of you might have grown up knowing it as the Kamenstein paper towel holder, but
we'll link to it in the description.
Yes,
of course.
There's a couple stupid things that like it has a weighted base, so your paper towel thing doesn't fall over when you tear it, whatever. The thing about it that I hate that I love is that it has a satisfying click when you pull, like it's ratcheted. So when you
it goes like tick 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 tick.
Yeah, so like, or if you pull like a paper towel's off fast, it goes zzz. It's like.
I can see why this. I can imagine why this is good.
It's so here. I recorded audio.
Oh God! Wait, you yourself?
Listen. Oh God,
that's very good.
Oh, it's so satisfying, and then you can just tear it right off. I hate that I love it. I was
it's like a good sneeze.
I was gross, disgusting. I was staying at a house that had one of these, and I posted that video kind of as a joke to Twitter because I was like, God, this is the most like. From a like crunchy user interaction, like user experience design standpoint, what a good paper towel holder. And then I fucking bought it on Amazon because someone linked to me that it was on Amazon Prime, and then I went, oh, I'm the worst, and I pressed the I'm the worst button, and then the next day I had a clicking paper towel holder in my house, and I hate myself, but I love my paper towel holder.
Yeah.
So
So it's the Kamenstein.
something.
Fucking
Just search
Clickmaster 2000.
the Clickmaster 2000. It's the perfect tear paper towel holder. Anyway, Patrick R., if you're listening, that endorsement was for you.
All right. I don't know what that means, but thank you for listening to this episode of Important If True. We will be back next week, but in the meantime, if you have any questions for us, you need our consultation on anything, you can send email to questions@importantiftrue.com. We also have a Patreon campaign if you would like to get an ad-free version of this podcast. And I want to apologize that that we are a little late with our rewards this month, including the postcards, but we are in the process of getting those printed and sent right now. In fact, by the time you hear this, they'll probably already have been sent out, and we are way ahead of schedule on the next month. So we promise this will not happen again next month. I apologize, and I am, as I keep saying, I am increasingly excited about the crazy branching story Nick is writing for these postcards because it's getting very good. Anyway, if you want to support that, you can do so at patreon.com/idlethumbs, and we really appreciate everyone who already has done so. And you can find us on the internet at importantiftrue.com, which has links to all the other places you can find us. For Idle Thumbs, I am Chris Remo.
I'm Nick Brecken.
I'm Jake Rodkin. Don't stay spicy.
Keep on sneezing.
God. I hate it.
Anyway, this is how you do a good podcast.
Yeah, no.
You've come to the right place for good podcast advice.